Hello, my name is Rosalinda Rivera, and I'm going to be giving you some talking points on my topic, the global impact of meat production, for my Environmental Science and Policy Management course through Brandman University. To introduce my topic, I want to talk about three specific areas that the production of meat has affected: land clearing, fresh water, and carbon footprint. To state the problem, the production of meat has created negative global impacts in the forms of land clearing, freshwater use, and overall carbon footprint. We're noting that the rate of meat consumption will result in irreversible damage to our planet. Based on the data that we're going to be presenting, our planet cannot sustain the rates which we consume meat, which also dictates the rates which meat needs to be produced. To cite the American Association for the Advancement of Science, they state, policymakers are increasingly grappling with the economic, health, and environmental consequences of rising meat consumption. These issues are particularly complex given that multiple narratives about eating meat that influence everyone's behavior. So what's my hypothesis? The production of meat emits high levels of greenhouse gas emissions, is responsible for deforestation, and utilizes a high percentage of available fresh water. These combined contribute to climate change. If we continue to produce and consume meat at current rates, the planet will see irreversible damages. For this topic, I reviewed several sourced sites, including peer-reviewed articles, academic journals, research, special interest research and activist groups, and policy and data-driven articles. So for the results of the data, animal agriculture occupies a large percentage of land in various ways. This can be comprised of animal grazing, livestock feed production or growing, and land clearing. As we see in the chart below, beside here, the overall land use of the animal agriculture results into 45% of the land being occupied. Additional results. The impact of indirect consumption of water through meat is extremely high. You'll see in the chart here that the various animal-based products utilize various amounts of water to produce just 1 pound of meat. For example, consuming 1 pound of beef equals to 1,850 gallons of water. At the very lowest rate, chicken, which is a popular protein, utilizes 520 gallons of water for 1 pound of chicken. There are many other functions in the production of meat that require water, but just in terms of watering and growing the feed, cleaning and clearing the meat, and consumption of water from the beef are at very high rates. So, as a result, 92% of the world's fresh water is used in agriculture. 1/3 of that is used for animals. This equals to 34 trillion gallons of water per year. Additional results. The production of meat results in a higher carbon footprint. As you'll see in this image here, various productions of animal-based foods and their rates of carbon footprint. At the very top, we'll see beef, followed closely by lamb. You'll note in the image that beef is the highest yielding carbon emission of all animal-based products. Some of the contributing factors to these carbon emissions in beef specifically can include belching, passing gas, farming vehicles, product transportation, and through fecal matter. Additional results. There are several catastrophic impacts of climate change. Some of those we can see in this image here and are listed as droughts, global temperature changes, drastic weather changes, and rising sea level. As noted, in the 2017 California drought, Americans were in the state of California were asked to limit our water usage, and I began to question what factors are being put in place to understand the usage or overusage of water in meat production. Conceptual framework. The problem is that the meat production and consumption outweighs the resources that we have available. Those resources include a high percentage of freshwater use, a high capacity of land use, and high carbon footprint or high emissions of carbon. These are related, and as a result of the more meat that's produced and consumed, the higher our impacts of the three areas identified grow. So in terms of discussion and what can be done and what we learned from this information, a recommended diet alternative to the high meat and protein, animal protein diet would result in less production of meat products, which results in less consumption, which results in less negative global impact. Our current health and educational system recommend that a balanced diet must include a specified number of servings of animal-based product. This drives the production of animal-based products and also the consumption of those products. The more we produce, the more negative impacts we'll see. So what can we do? Adopting alternative diets can positively fight against the negative factors to our environment. Some of those diets are listed in the image here, or also can be known as vegan diets, where there are no animal products consumed, vegetarian diets, where limited animal products are consumed, or a flexitarian, which is a new term that I learned, where in general you consume a vegetarian or vegan diet with periodic consumption of animal-based products. All of these alternative diets will lead to global benefits. As you'll see here, the vegan diet has the largest emissions savings amongst all diet types. With all the information that we've learned today, what are some policies or actions that can be taken place to improve our current pattern? The adoption of alternative diets to meat-centered diets can greatly improve the negative impacts of meat production and consumption. For example, the diets that were previously mentioned, vegan, vegetarian, flexitarian diets can offset emissions by 14.5%. Creating an alternative to the current food pyramid that would be accepted and adopted by health professionals would result in more flexible and more clean and green eating. This alternative food pyramid would depict vegan, vegetarian, or other dietary options and be adopted by health professionals, the educational system, which feed or create policies that create patterns on how we eat. So for the food pyramid and alternative diets, the United States Department of Agriculture, also known as the USDA, is responsible for the creation and adoption of the current food pyramid. The USDA develops and promotes dietary guidance. Considering that there are several Americans throughout the states that are already adopting these alternative diets, Having guidance from USDA would solidify the sustainability and give credence to these diets as a legitimate source of nutrition. The USDA and FSIS could sustain the labeling patterns in American meat products. A second policy would be creating clear impact labeling. Create labeling on meat products that clearly label all of the contributing factors to that product. For example, a label on your purchase of 2 pounds of beef could show that to create that 2 pounds of beef, 3,700 gallons of water were utilized. Additional labeling could include that for a 1/4 pound of beef, 65 square feet of land had to be taken up. This makes me think of the last 1/4 pounder cheeseburger maybe I ate or purchased at McDonald's. If I knew that a 1/4 pound of beef resulted into 65 square feet of land and subsequently a large portion of water, would I continue to make those choices? Creating clear impact labeling. There are 2 entities that are responsible for the labeling of food: USDA, which is the United States Department of Agriculture, and the Food Safety Inspection Service. Creating a policy that can be presented and adopted by the USDA and FSIS to include impact labeling would create some sustainable changes and sustainable adoption of understanding the impacts of the food choices we make. In the next several slides, I have my references, including the references cited on all the statistics and images shown. Thank you so much.